Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private community called High Ticket Client Attraction Inside the Circle, definitely come check us out. We'd definitely love to have you. That group was put together specifically for coaches, consultants, and service providers who are serious about getting up to that 6 and that 7-figure level. So if that's you, definitely come check us out. So today I want to introduce you to one of the members of our community, Tatiana O'Hara. Welcome, Tatiana.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. You're welcome. So tell us, what is that you do?
Okay, so I am a business operations and team strategy consultant. So I work with entrepreneurs that have a team of 3 or more, and I basically help them learn how to better leverage their team so that they can work less hours, make more impact, make more money. A lot of the people that I work with, they have a team, but they don't quite know how to use them to their fullest potential. So they find themselves still working a lot of hours, micromanaging a lot, kind of redoing a lot of the tasks that they've hired these people to do. So I teach you how to kind of let go and, relinquish some of that control, and let the people that you've hired to help you actually help you so that you can get from point A to point B in your business.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So you say you teach entrepreneurs how to leverage the team. That's a core, right? A core piece.
Absolutely.
Okay. What got you into this area?
So I actually started in corporate. I was a district manager for a popular grocery chain for about 4 years, straight out of college. So coming in with no leadership, experience, kind of having to learn everything from the ground up. One of the things that I found with the five stores that I managed was that my managers were working a lot of hours, like 80 hours a week. We were getting terrible results, kind of scoring towards the bottom in almost every category. Turnover was high, morale wasn't great. And so I spent, maybe 3 to 6 months trying to just look and see what they were doing to see if I can kind of analyze what the problem was. And I quickly realized that the issue wasn't that they weren't skilled in their jobs, that they didn't want to be there. It was simply that the manager didn't know how to manage. And so what was happening was they were working all of these hours because they were trying to do their job, as well as the, lower level managers, as well as the associates. They were trying to do, everything from A to Z in the store when they should have just been focusing on their role. So I developed a strategy to help them learn how to better manage their team, to help them conduct actual reviews with their people, to have critical conversations, to learn how to hire correctly, to learn when it's time to hire. And what happened over the course of the year was that some of my people went from working 80 hours to 50 hours, from 80 hours to 40 hours. We went from being, towards the bottom in performance to being some of the top performers. Some of my managers were recognized nationally by the presidents of the company. And so I did this for a couple years, but I've always had the entrepreneurial bug. And so I resigned from that position in September of last year so that I could go full-time and help entrepreneurs do the same thing. Because I realized that, a lot of times in our corporate jobs, we complain about the structure and kind of the hierarchy of how our companies are set up. But I find that that's the number one thing that we're lacking in entrepreneurship is that structure, knowing what to do day to day, knowing who should be doing what, knowing how to put the aces in their places. So I basically took my corporate experience and packaged it up for entrepreneurs to help them excel.
Mm-hmm. That's some pretty awesome stuff. I love it. I love it. So you said, in essence, so you start off working, but you saw how there was kind of like a gap in the system, whether it was with productivity and the teams, and where it seems like one person is doing the work of 10 people versus instead of doing like, hey, let's actually leverage the entire team, right? So when it comes to entrepreneurship, how does an entrepreneur, what is your view on teams? Do you recommend that an entrepreneur, coach, consultant, anyone just right off the bat start getting a team, or is there a certain point where someone should start considering getting a team? What are your thoughts?
Gotcha. So yes, I definitely think that there is a certain point that you need to get to. I firmly believe that every entrepreneur needs to go through that phase where they're doing everything. They're juggling, sales and marketing and content creation and tech and backends and systems and all of that. And I think there's value in that because when you do finally decide to outsource, you at least have a very bare minimum knowledge of every aspect of the business. You never want to get into a situation where you're hiring someone to do something and you have absolutely no idea how to do it, because if for some reason they go on vacation or they quit on you, you need to know that your business isn't going to fall to the wayside in a matter of a couple days. So I think the number one way to tell that it's time to hire, that it's time to bring on a team, is when you get to the point where you are not able to make any more money. You've reached a ceiling in your business because you simply cannot do any more. You can't take on any more clients. You can't take on any more customers. You can't develop any more programs or courses or anything of that nature. When you've gotten to the point where you are limiting yourself, it's time to hire help. So I think that's one way. And I think another way of knowing it's time to hire maybe more of a specialist is when there's a certain area of your business that you just have no business doing at all. So for me, it is 100% the technology aspect of it. It's a real struggle for me. I can do it, but the same task would take me 8 hours that would take an expert 2 hours, maybe even an hour. And so when you get to the point where your time is costing you money at all times, right? Time is money. So when you get to the point where you're spending endless hours doing a certain aspect of your business that's not bringing in revenue, then it might be time to hire a specialist to help take that part of the business off your plate.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's so powerful as well, what you said, as far as you believe that every entrepreneur should get to a point where they're juggling all of the things, having to do all of it,
Mm-hmm.
and have to figure it out. I think that's brilliant, because I know for my own journey, when I think back about it, that's the only thing I realized that really helped me, I think, progress as quickly as I did, was I really learned pretty quickly when you're responsible for all of your results, right? You have to figure all of it out: marketing, sales, content, everything has to be figured out. But at the same time, now when you do bring in other individuals, now you have an idea of how the thing should work, right? Because I know a big mistake most people make is they say, well, I'm just going to go hire this person. I have no idea how this works, but I'll just pay this person and they'll figure it out. And they don't
Mm-hmm.
realize until it's too late. They don't realize until it's too late that the thing that they wanted done, it never got done, because number one, they didn't understand what that thing was. And number two, that person, they really weren't the right fit for it, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that you have to really set a solid foundation in your business before you decide to outsource anyways. So
Mhm.
for example, if I wanted to outsource, let's just say content creation on social media, and then I just go out and I randomly hire someone and I say, hey, I want you to create content for my Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And they're just like, okay, so where should I start? Like, what kind of things should I be creating? How should I be creating them? And then you're just kind of giving them this blank stare. That's the number one way to waste your time, because you've now essentially hired, onboarded this person, you're investing money into them now, but you have no direction as to what they should be doing. So I think it's really important to begin to document your processes ahead of time, before you start to outsource. SOPs, or standard operating procedures. It's not the sexiest part of business, but it's so essential, and it's going to save you so much time when it's time to hire someone, but it's also going to save you time when it's time to scale, because now you know that no matter who I hire in this content creation role, I have this very specific procedure on how Tatiana wants it done in Tatiana's business. And now, as long as I'm hiring someone that brings that skill set to the table, I can easily give them this document and say, this is how I like it done in my company. And then they can execute on that. So it's kind of like, it's bigger than just the person that you're hiring in that moment. This is going to be something that's going to carry you through multiple phases of business.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Yeah, that's one thing I did too. Because when I got to a point of hiring, I remember when I was, it was just me, right? So it got to a point where I was doing all these things, had all these different projects. But something I was really good at was just start to document the stuff. Kind of not doing a really good job, but just getting the bare minimum of it. And
Mm-hmm.
something that always frustrated me as well, to when I was first getting started, especially when I started bringing in outside help, especially not the specialized individuals, but just the assistants, or the virtual assistants, and those different individuals. It was the frame of, well, because the way I used to kind of like show them and help them figure out what they need to do was actually talk to them and say, hey, do this, do that. And my biggest fear, for one day I woke up and I'm like, man, I got this. I'm not sure why. I'm like, so there's something that's on my mind, but I couldn't figure it out. It wasn't until I realized that, oh, so in my business right now, because there's I have a couple of VAs, and because I feel like, okay, I've trained them in a way where they have all the knowledge. It wasn't like documented, it was based on, they just knew it just because we'd worked together for a while. I'm like, what if this person leaves? And what if that happens? And all of a sudden, that's when I realized that whoa, this is pretty scary, because I thought back about the amount of training I had to give them and the amount of stuff they already knew. That number
Mhm.
one, if they called, like said they couldn't do this tomorrow, I'd be like, holy crap, I'm gonna have to get back into doing this thing. And not just that, but if I had to bring someone else on, the whole training process would be like, oh. So I think
Mhm.
what I figured out was everything I do in my business now, I just like document, which is through videos, screen share, and whatever. Everything, like every task, every process, I have it like in a video process, and I think I have like this big Google document, a Google spreadsheet, right? So if anyone ever leaves, it's like, hey, the train's already there. Just get a new person up to speed on that
Yeah.
train. That's so fascinating.
It's honestly like it's crazy to hear you say that because it sounds so simple. Like, oh, I'm just going to document the things that I do. I'm going to hit record on my screen share software and just record me doing this process. But that is something that goes over so many entrepreneurs' heads. And so what happens is they hire these people without these processes in place, and then they really don't give them a lot of direction, a lot of expectations. And then when it doesn't work out, they're convinced that it's the employee's fault. But it's like they can only perform to the level that you allow them to. If you don't if you don't set an expectation, number one, if you don't say this is what I expect out of you, there's really no standard that they have to work towards because you never told them what the standard was. So yeah, that's very powerful. And I also think that once you get someone in position, like once you make a hire, you can have them be a part of the documenting process as well. So something I like to do with my clients is once we are in the process of training someone, have that person, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Loom,
Oh
so
yes,
screen.
yes, yeah. So
So
I
I would
love that
have
too.
them, it's an amazing tool, but I would have them record themselves doing these things for the first week or so. And that way, not only have they begun to help you document the processes that they're doing, but also it's going to identify potential issues that may come up when someone is being trained in that position for the first time. And so now you almost have a video archive of like frequently asked questions that you can then use for the next person that comes through in that role. So there's so much power in just documenting what you're doing. It sounds so monotonous and not fun, but it really helps cut down a lot of time. I mean, training is already a huge investment time wise, but if you have some of these things in place, it's going to save you a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah. My thinking about it is everything I do in my business, I only want to do it one time. And what I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm saying, hey, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to record myself doing it because I want to get somebody else to do it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That's really good.
awesome. So, question like, what would you say has been your biggest breakthrough that you've made? Because I know as we go through our business, as we go through doing stuff, learning, there's always some big chunks, big insights we get on
Mhm.
our journey. What's one big insight you've kind of got that's kind of helped you build the success you've created?
I would definitely say like network is everything. I think at a
You
certain
you
point
said
in my
network with everything.
network is everything. Like
Oh,
your
network is everything. Okay.
network is everything. So I think at one point in my business, I was still kind of surrounding myself with people who didn't fully understand the idea of entrepreneurship. You know, when I quit my job at, what was it, 25, it was a very foreign concept. I was making six figures in my job. And, you know, for me to walk away from that, a lot of people just didn't understand. And so the decisions that I was making in my business, I didn't even realize how limited they were because I was basing them off of the people that I was surrounding myself with. And so now I've expanded my circle. I'm in a mastermind with women who are making 30, 40, $50,000 a month. And so I'm able to expand my thinking to even believe that I can have that I deserve that, that, you know, people would be willing to pay me that. But I think when you hang around people whose minds might not expand as far as yours does, it's only going to limit you. So definitely like getting out there, putting yourself in different groups, kind of, you know, even if you're shy, like really fighting through that to get to know people that are going to help take you to the next level. That's been the biggest thing for me, is just like my circle is everything. And the people that I surround myself with, like I'm going to be a reflection of that.
Yeah, powerful stuff, powerful stuff. And I think it's one of those places where, that's definitely one of the most powerful things. Like, if you want to increase your net worth, they always say, like, is, hey, build up your network, right? And I
Mhm.
know that most entrepreneurs, and it might be some where we're creatures of habits or whatever, but I know a lot of individuals, when the network, just like I watched my own journey as well too, because when you shift, I realized that when I was first getting started, the people I hang around with was people who they were just getting started with me. They were kind of struggling. They were having the same issues that I was struggling. But then when I started seeing there's other different networks where there's guys who are generating $100,000 per month, 100K per month, I was like, whoa! And how when I started getting into those circles, I saw how the other guys who were barely making 10,000, struggling to make 20,000, 30,000. I realized like, man, like I gotta I gotta get rid of my current friends and find a better set of friends. But I think
Mhm.
it's one of those things where it's like it's needed, because I think about my own progress. So how I was able to create my success, and it really wasn't that I worked. It was more based on I surrounded myself with a different group of
Mhm.
people, right? And I think most entrepreneurs get caught up in the same friends they had when they first started off was the same friends they keep having, versus realizing that you gotta get to a place where you outgrow your friends. You gotta get to a place where you're like the kind of like, although you might be good, but you're like the dumbest person in the room compared to all of your friends, right?
Absolutely. And one thing I'm kind of going through now is learning that my old friends, so to speak, even though they can't necessarily speak to this aspect of my life, like we can still connect on certain things, but there are also certain aspects of my life that I might not share with them. Like we can still, sit around and talk about, our lives and what's going on, with our significant others or with our families or with X, Y, and Z. But if I'm talking about this new service that I'm launching that's 5 figures, that might not be the thing that I talk to them about. So it's not to say that you kind of have to throw all your friends to the wayside, but you have to understand that every friend is going to give you different elements of what you need as a person. And it's okay if one person can't give you everything. You know what I mean? Like you just have to find people that speak to that part of your life.
I love it. So, what a question I'd like to ask is, what about stories wise? Is there any story you could share with us from your past, whether it's funny, happy, sad, inspiring, that has kind of gotten you to where you are today based on the level of success that you've created for yourself today?
Yeah, definitely. I went to an event. It's called Impact Weekend with my coach, my business coach now. And when I went into Impact Weekend, I was really lost in business. I didn't really know what I wanted to be doing. Back then, I was just kind of doing like very general, generic business coaching. Like, oh, do you want to start a business? Like, I'm the person for you. And I knew that that wasn't my lane, but I didn't know what my lane was. And I knew that it was something related to my corporate experience, but I didn't know how to kind of tie that all in and put it together. And so I went to Impact Weekend, which is I'd say a conference, I guess. It's a weekend conference, and it's designed to help you launch your high ticket offer, to help you package up your messaging and all of that stuff. And so I go, and very quickly, it started to come together that I needed to be doing something around teams and helping people leverage their teams. And I just had this kind of like aha moment at some point during the conference, and I was able to stand up and share what I did. I'm like, my new title and what I do in business. And when I shared it, everyone was just giving me this look like, oh my gosh, like you don't know how much this is needed. It was kind of
Hmm.
like they had never heard it before. And I realized that there aren't many entrepreneurs that are serving in this way, that are teaching people how to truly lead a team in entrepreneurship. Like, yes, a lot of us do that, in corporate, but in entrepreneurship, it was just something different. And so I just had this very beautiful moment where I realized, like, man, this is something that comes so second nature to me. This is so easy, but like it is groundbreaking to other people. And that's when I realized that I was finally in my zone of genius. I don't know, it was a really good moment. So every time I close a discovery call, or every time I, get a new lead, whether it be in my email or my DMs, I'm just always reminded of like, wow, how blessed am I to say that I'm truly in my zone of genius and I'm getting paid to do something that like is just so easy to me. It's so fun. I'm passionate about it. Like I love doing this. And it doesn't come hard to me. It's nothing that I have to strain to do. And I feel like that's where I was before when I was just doing regular business coaching. It was kind of like I was reaching, like
Hmm.
trying to be good at something that I wasn't necessarily good at, if that makes sense. So I think like finding your zone of genius and staying there and getting paid to be there, like it's just such a beautiful thing. And I love that about entrepreneurship, that you can truly make a living doing something that you're just good at, that you just enjoy doing. So,
Yeah, powerful stuff. I know. I meet a lot of individuals. And when I see, not that I believe in like you, there's skills we can learn, but one of the best ways I've found to really build a business is just looking at what your passions are, right? Because I believe that there are certain things we do in our lives in our day to day, and it's just like it comes so second nature to us, but at the same time we enjoy doing it. and we kind of
Mm-hmm.
take it for granted. I know a lot of new entrepreneurs, when they first get into business, they go look for, well, I've done this my entire life, I'm really good at it. It's like it's a no-brainer for me, but I want to build this business. Let me go look for this foreign thing, and let me go try to figure out that thing. Versus, I love saying, I think Steve Jobs, where he said, like, you can't connect the dots looking forwards, but you will always connect them looking backwards, right? So just if you look back on your life and see what the people are coming to you for, see what you're just naturally good at, see what your natural talents and strengths are, and then say, look back about on how it looked back then, and then say, okay, how can I take that based on what I'm good at, and how do I now move forward and actually build a business doing that? It definitely seems like you figured that out, which is pretty powerful stuff. So the question now becomes, in terms of skills wise, what's one skill you could say you've developed that's gotten you to where you are today?
Um, hmm, let's see. I think definitely the ability to connect with people instantly. Um, I've always been a really big people person. I've always loved speaking on stages and that kind of thing. But I think that when you're working with people, when you're a coach, a consultant, whatever, a lot of times, yes, you're going to get leads that are people that you know. But a lot of times they're going to be people that you didn't even know were following you. You didn't even know that they were, a part of your email list or whatever the case may be. So I think it's very important that you know how to immediately make people feel comfortable, make people feel at ease when they tell you the issue that they're coming to you for. Like, let them know that you understand, that you've been there, that you have the solution for them. Because I've been on some discovery calls that are very uncomfortable. Like I've talked to some coaches that have very little interpersonal skills, and it's just kind of like the pitch and then where's my money. But just having the ability to really connect with people, like I think that's going to increase your closing rates. I think that's going to increase, your good reviews, your testimonials, all of that.
Hmm. Love it. And what about habits wise? What's one habit you say you've developed that's gotten you to where you are?
Oh my gosh. That's an easy one. Definitely the ability to just focus and be productive. I have the biggest like scatterbrain sometimes. I get very distracted. I'll be doing one thing and then I'll think of something else and I open another tab on my browser. And before I know it, I have 20 tabs open. I'm trying to do 20 different things at once. But I downloaded this app. It's called Flora, Flora, and it allows you to time block. And it kind of sets this time, whether it be 25 minutes, 50 minutes, and you can't touch your phone for that amount of time. And it just really helps me to stay focused. And so what I've learned is I don't have to sit down for 3 consecutive hours and work. But if I can work for 25 minutes at a time, 50 minutes at a time, 25 minutes of dedicated work is better than an hour of scatterbrained work. So definitely the ability to just stay focused on the task at hand has helped me tremendously. It helps me work a lot less hours. It helps me get more work done during the hours that I am working. So
Hmm. Yeah, powerful stuff. That's one of the key insights in business, right? Multitasking, as much as it seems like it's, when you think about it, like, yeah, if I could do more, if I could just do all these projects, I'll get a lot more done. The reality is that
mhm.
it definitely takes away productivity, definitely gets you to a point where you feel like you're working a lot, but then when there's really no results to show, right?
Absolutely. I think I don't want to butcher the statistic, but I think it's something like if you're working on a task and you start working on something else, it takes the brain about 20 minutes to get refocused on the task that you were doing initially. So we think multitasking is a time saver, but it's really a time killer. Your brain just simply isn't made to do multiple things at one time.
Yeah,
So
love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, we're running short on time here, but if someone wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to be able to reach out?
yes, definitely. So my website is www.becomingtheceo.co. That's where you can learn a lot more about me and what I do, learn about how to work with me, that kind of thing. And then I hang out on Instagram the most. That's my most active social platform. And you can find me on Instagram at _Tatiana O'Hara. So I'd love to connect with, you guys either way.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. And all the links Tatiana just mentioned here, I'll have them right above or right below the video. So if you want to connect with her, I would recommend clicking on the link and just heading over. Well, hey,
Awesome.
Tatiana, thank you so much for stopping by today. Really, really appreciate you making the time to be here. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
Yeah, just one thing. So also if you go to www.becomingtheceo.co/matrix, I have a free resource that I made for you guys. And basically what that is going to do is help you figure out how you allocate your time day to day. What are the different things that you're doing? And that worksheet is going to help you figure out what you should be outsourcing first. So if you're ready to make your first hire, this worksheet is going to clearly articulate what that person is, what they should be doing. So you can find the resource at that link. I'm sure we can include it in the comments. And it's 100% free. So I'd love for you guys to tap into that.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Well, hey, thanks again. And we will be in touch. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good one.